She's very, How are you? Thanks, Andrew. So I'm like, we'll see. So I look forward to Robert's questions. You know, he's going to ask data on South Australia. So now I make sure it's like, where's my data sheet? Why is it not accessible? Why is it around the soul populations? Because I can give them a data response.
What space have them?
Both?
Yeah. All good.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to just log in here. I'm just thinking because that's the only computer that has internet. If we hook it up to that, we can do that.
We don't have to have the stream going for
Yeah, okay. Well, if we can get it on this laptop here, you sure all we've got to do is just HDMI to that and we can bring it up.
Easy done. Alright, grab the details.
Easy to do.
Make sure I'm not going to hit that LAN cable.
And so they know that they won't be able to, the people on Teams won't be able to see
Yeah, they'll have to deal with that.
unless they're on the live stream as well. But
Yeah, they're gonna have to deal with that.
yeah,
And we can't use the connection to the cameras here. Oh, well, there's no camera point, nothing, so. Just to add a bit of confusion there.
hey,
We can't use the connected camera as the camera.
I mean, if there's an option that lets us like see how it said for the YouTube to use the Roland,
Yeah.
if we can do that on Teams, I think that's possible.
All right. Am I right to download Teams onto here?
Yeah, go for it. Should be fine.
I mean, worst case scenario, I can always go through the browser connection. Or is that just asking a bit too much trouble?
No, it should be fine just to download. Can you use it just on the web browser?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Surely. If not, it's fine to download.
Well, what I might do is. There we go. Sorry, it's been a bit of a day apparently.
Nah, it's all cool.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. All right, so that should work.
It should work.
Let me just see if I can do a test run of the different.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Because one of the guest speakers later today was meant to join virtually, but
Oh, okay.
she never did.
The only thing I'm thinking though is if we want to be able to hear them, we're going to have to run audio through HDMI. So I don't know if that's going to intervene with the Roland.
Because it's all audio in, not audio out.
Yeah, well,
Well, let's test that. Oh, good God. All right. I'll start typing that out, will I? Yes.
Did I remind comments that we're continuing 5 minutes?
He's chatting to ABC. Well, let's see how quickly that concludes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
They've been chatting for a while now.
So the next presentation's meant to be from Andy Lee, is it? No. Who have we got on next?
Yeah.
And
Why?
why?
Yeah.
She's never in the video.
Oh, so it's just a video message?
Yeah, it's 2 minutes or 6.5 minutes. So we've got to read.
Okay, that's good.
But
And then Simon Banks here.
yeah, Simon Banks is here.
Okay, so pretty much from the moment that we start, and then like 5 minutes total for the welcome back video. And then Simon, any questions afterwards? You already said it, correct?
Yeah, so he'll have questions afterwards. After his presentation, then we've got afternoon tea, which will probably end up being a bit longer than 1.5 hours because we've got the time.
So long before the afternoon tea or long before the afternoon tea?
It's all dependent on how long this lunch break goes for. It's probably worth mentioning tonight that we're coming close to the 2 o'clock mark, and then he can make the call.
Yeah, and because obviously our schedule will be to communicate at the kitchen because they'll just prepare a couple of times and go to the sector
For the moment, let's go as planned because inevitably something's going to drag on. Somebody's going to answer mail.
Easy done, easy done. Where I could. I believe I took some, but I'll have to check how good it is over there.
That's all right. I'll see if I can get them from Matthew because I know vegan coding.
No stress. All right, I'm just going to do a test run here.
I reckon we're under.
We have a bit of time just to.
Well, we've got until until 3:30 to read all this.
Oh, okay. So it finishes at 3. We've got 30 minutes.
Yeah, so 3 o'clock we break for afternoon tea, and then we've got that half-hour break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just so we can swap and plug in that.
All right, so VR 4HD video. That's your Roland.
Yeah. So
And then microphone arrays for the mic.
once my old man just come in and bring along the HDMI.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you'd prefer the crowd to hear what they're saying
Absolutely.
than him seeing the crowd.
Yeah.
Because that's going to
Definitely,
have to be provided just on such short notice. We didn't know. So
Yeah. Hang on, let's see. I don't think I can hear anything. Speaker device.
because once the HDMI is in, they'll hear.
Yeah.
The crowd will hear what they're saying.
Yeah. It's, room. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can hear that.
It'd probably just be the lectern mic picking up the room.
Yeah. And it'll, I was going to say, and any other mics that go off, they'll hear as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, that works. So I'll input the meeting ID codes for the AGM into that then. And then later all we need to do is log in. Cool. I do not want to be the one to do that. Hell, I probably was the one to do that before.
I'm just thinking, how are they going to hear the speakers? Probably just
So we'll still be running microphones
yeah.
for the AGM if they can. So online,
Yeah.
they'll be able to hear what the microphone's picking up, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it'll probably just be from because the HDMI is going to like we're sending his voice to the desk and out the speakers,
Yeah.
but
So if we keep that lectern mic cranked,
yeah, and then
and anything that Mark does, our CEO does with the mic, he'll just use a different one. Would you say?
yeah, and then this will be pumped straight to the laptop.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I'll jump in on my phone as well and keep that microphone open. That'll be just a massive in as well as backup.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. It's them talking that we're not going to hear, is it?
That's the only thing that we'll be able to hear.
So anyone online is the only thing that we can't hear, is it?
Well,
If they're talking online. Actually, no, we would be able to.
We'll be able to hear them.
Yeah,
we're
'cause,
feeding their voice out,
Yeah.
but it's just they're going to have to hear our voices back through the laptop, wouldn't it?
yeah, that should work, shouldn't it?
Yep.
Easy done. That's the meeting ID and passcode. That's only until 3. That's only at 3:30.
Yep.
And I'll jump in the background as well just to make sure because I've got to do some administrative bit.
Cheers,
AGM.
man.
All good. Thanks for this.
No, that's all right. Just to get to the other one. Yeah, this lady wasn't charging. I don't know if it's even plugged in. That's what was Johnny's power was into. It wasn't charging.
Really?
Whether it's a dud lead or
No, look. So yeah, get the one that goes. So it's coming out of here. Huh? So it's a source. Source this end.
yeah, and that's TV.
Like this.
I quickly got a new one out of the box. I went there in front of my face to get off.
Oh, we learned shit, eh? This is great stuff. Crazy stuff. You should get that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Just got a question.
But,
I've been given one last video to be played just before the afternoon tea break.
Yeah.
I've got it on Dropbox now. Mine can still USB stick.
Yep. Got a USB stick.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
No, don't be sorry, man. Do whatever.
Yeah, so
We're with
that's
you. We're with you.
essentially
Right, so just here, after this thing here, Mark's going to, the MC is going to announce the next year's host.
Yeah, and
And
it's
then
a
you play the
video.
video. Yeah. If you want to write that in. All right, so you're getting that. So really, yeah. Which is pretty messy here, but it's fine.
So I'm just thinking, when I do this, no, you got to leave that though,
On headphone.
because he's still live streaming.
So I'll leave this out
But why are you plugging the audio in there?
so we can hear him later.
Isn't it going to go through HDMI?
Yeah, I know, but I don't know how to get out of that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Right, okay.
So what's
Okay, plan B can be. If worst comes to worst, let's do this.
do we have just like a bug?
Huh?
Do we have a bug?
What's the bug?
The XLR to auxiliary.
Four.
Oh yeah, but that if that
Same
works,
thing. That'll be the same thing.
yeah, if that works.
What's that?
It's not. How are you going?
I don't know. Message from Andy Lane.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to give everyone that. Show the video. And then the next speaker is Simon Banks.
Too easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please begin to resume your seats.
Come back with one more thing. In case it comes through the HDMI.
Welcome back. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of housekeeping matters before we move on. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on mingling the way you are. Thank you for the way you are engaging with all of the exhibitors. I think it's wonderful to see, so please keep doing that during the breaks. This evening, in case anyone needs to leave early or doesn't stay till the very end, we do have a very important presentation to make, and depending on time, whether we do that before the afternoon tea break or after, we will have the AGM after the afternoon tea break. So I do want to make a very important presentation, and we'll see how we go for time during this next session. But if you're leaving, I'd ask you to stay till at least after the afternoon tea break, because a very important presentation is being made. This evening, for those who are joining us for dinner, I hope most of you are, we are going to the Piccolo family farm. Now, most of you, I imagine, are staying in town somewhere. So if you're staying somewhere central, you obviously can make your own way if you want, but I'm assuming that most of you would rather relax and have somebody do the travel for you. So we are providing a bus from the centre of town. Now, there is a little map, if you've got one of the program events, there is a little map, an important reference point there's a little map that talks about a study to a pickup point. And that's where the bus will leave from tonight. And for those of you not familiar with the tourism centre, it's otherwise known as plane on a stick. You know, plane on a stick. So the bus will leave at 6 p.m. and 6:15. So we've got a large bus doing a couple of shuttles. So hopefully everyone won't wait for the 6:15 bus, otherwise we might have a problem. So again, try and be there at 6 or 6:15. And also we'll have a couple of shuttles running out to the Piccolo family farm, ready for a 6:30 p.m. start. That's when the drinks will start, that's the important time. The dinner will go for 3 hours, and we will then bring the bus back at 9:30. So there'll be the bus at 9:30 and 9:45. So just to give you some sense of timing for this evening. And that will bring you back to the same spot, plane on a stick in the centre of town. If there are any other questions, any other concerns, please let me know. But we're looking forward to a very exciting dinner at the Piccolo family farm. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the Honourable Anne Ley, who couldn't be with us on this occasion. She is the Queensland State Water Minister, but just to give us an insight into the Northern Basin. So if you please roll the tape for the Honourable Anne Ley.
Hello, Murray-Darling Basin Conference attendees. I'm sorry I can't be with you in Griffith for your conference, but I do look forward to your deliberations in relation to communities, water quality, and also the environment. Water is such an important part of the Murray-Darling Basin and how we utilise that water. So I really do look forward to hearing what you have arrived at and the discussions that you've had at your conference. So all my best wishes for your deliberations, and I look forward to continuing to hear from you.
Thank you. Brief but to the point. And that affords us extra time for some great discussion with our next keynote speaker. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Simon Banks, the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder, to talk about the basin and the environmental water plan. So thank you, Simon. Good afternoon. I'm Simon Banks, the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder. Thanks for having me here today in the Riverina. Our operations have a unique focus in this part of the world, and we see your support and continued cooperation as indispensable. I'd like to thank Mark and the team at the MDA for hosting this event. I'm really pleased to reconnect with the MDA, having had the chance to speak at previous conferences. In my role, I have the great opportunity to see what can be achieved with Commonwealth Environmental Water firsthand, and to meet farmers, landholders, First Nations peoples, communities from across the basin to protect and restore the environmental assets, or the rivers, wetlands, and the plants and animals that they support. Our vision is healthy rivers for healthy communities, and ensuring we value every drop. Today, I'd like to update you on some of our priorities and take a chance to celebrate the amazing partnerships we have to care for our rivers and wetlands. I would like to begin by acknowledging and paying my respects to the traditional custodians of the lands in which we meet today here in Griffith, the Wiradjuri people. I pay my respects to the Wiradjuri elders, past and present, and extend that acknowledgement to other First Nations peoples that have continuing connections to this country. Also acknowledge First Nations people joining us here today. Genuine participation of First Nations peoples is essential to our work in managing Commonwealth environmental water, as it should, with traditional owners caring for the lands and the waterways of our country for tens of thousands of years. Only 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water, and less than 1% is accessible for human use. The rest is locked up in glaciers or deep underground. Around the globe, we are seeing the extremes of climate change. These extremes are affecting the biodiversity, the plants, the animals that live in our rivers and wetland ecosystems. And the consequences are being felt by the communities that live, work, and play there. The world's rivers are essential for supply chains, agricultural production, drinking water, and support diverse ecosystems and species. As many of you would attest, freshwater and freshwater ecosystems provide essential services that support communities. With freshwater ecosystems covering less than 1% of the Earth's surface, they support about 10% of all known living species. Water resources of the Murray-Darling Basin are no different with these international parallels. The basin water resources are important for drinking water, important for agriculture, tourism, and is essential for an incredible diversity of freshwater ecosystems and species. Like basins around the world, we know there are and have been some issues: over-extraction, land use change, pollution, river regulation, droughts, and floods. These are issues that many rivers and water basins face and will continue to face around the world. What is perhaps unique is with the Murray-Darling Basin is Australia has had the courage to take on some of these challenges through the establishment of the Basin Plan, establishment of the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder, and considerable work to improve the sustainable management of water resources. We know from the 2025 Basin Plan evaluation that the environmental condition of the basin is better now than it would have been without the Basin Plan. We also know that there is more to do. Focusing on the Murray-Darling Basin. Firstly, the basin is enormous, spanning over 1 million square kilometres, covering about 14% of Australia's landmass. Putting this in context, the basin would rank at around 30th of 234 countries by area. It is about the same size as the area of both France and Spain together. It is about the size of Egypt. The basin is enormous. Australia's largest river, the Murray-Darling, provides a haven for more than 50 native fish species and includes 16 internationally important wetlands. One of the amazing creatures is the iconic and nationally vulnerable Murray cod, Australia's largest freshwater fish. Murray cod can grow to 1.8 metres long and weigh in at more than 100 kilos. They can live longer than 50 years and are devoted parents. During spring, the male Murray cod guards their eggs until they hatch, which is quite unusual amongst fish. The connection between native fish and mussels is also fascinating, freshwater mussels. Adult freshwater mussels release larvae called Clochidia into the water. These larvae must attach to a fish, usually to the gills or the fins, to survive. This fish-mussel connection is vital for mussel survival and helps them disperse to new habitats. It's one of nature's more unexpected partnerships. At the other end of the spectrum is the Murray hardyhead, one of the smallest native fish in the basin, which grows to between 3 and 6.5 centimetres. A freshwater native fish that can survive in extremely saline conditions. We also have one of Australia's truly amazing native species that call the Murray-Darling Basin home, the platypus, a mammal that lays eggs, a mammal where the males have venomous spurs on their hind legs. The basin also has an incredible diversity of frogs. They depend on freshwater ecosystems like billabongs and wetlands. We have had the amazing success through environmental watering for the southern bellfrog, one of the largest frog species in Australia, reaching up to 10 or 11 centimetres in length. This species is also nationally vulnerable. It is remarkable the diversity of species that live and depend on our rivers and wetlands. Before I go further, I'd like to provide a brief overview of what we do. I understand for some in the audience it's information you all already know, and for others it will be new. Since 2008, the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder has played a pivotal role in protecting and restoring the health of the Murray-Darling Basin. I'm proud to undertake this critical role as Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder with the support of a highly qualified and passionate team and a whole range of dedicated partners. It's a world-leading and unique institution. We are progressing a novel environmental restoration activity that has never been undertaken at this scale anywhere else in the world. My staff and I manage a massive public asset on behalf of the Australian people. With Commonwealth Environmental Water entitlements representing, and I emphasise entitlements, representing about 17% of the entitlements in the basin, our job is to maximise the outcomes or results we can get and make every drop count. To get the best results we can, we use a range of methods, just like other water users. The first is to use the water, when and where it's needed. You can see where our watering actions are occurring on our website via our water use map. This map's updated fortnightly. The second is to carry over allocations. Just like other water holders, we do carry over some of the water. This is a small percentage compared to irrigators generally, and an important tool for us to have available to enable us to deliver water early in the water year. The last option is trade. Again, just like other water holders. This means selling our water for equal or greater environmental benefit. I can use the proceeds from selling water to fund environmental activities in the basin, which has been done, and I'll highlight an example later in today's presentation. Commonwealth Environmental Water entitlements have grown to just over 3,000 gigalitres. We manage a $10 billion public asset on behalf of the Australian community with precision, independence and innovation to achieve the environmental outcomes we're seeking. We have managed flows to 27,000 kilometres of the basin waterways. Just to give you an idea of the length, that's travelling around Australia on Highway 1 almost twice. Over the last water year, we delivered more than 1,600 gigalitres of environmental water. We work with partners to build on the gains from the previous years of watering and to support recovery where needed, including maintaining and enhancing the health and resilience of rivers, wetlands and floodplains, watering wetland vegetation to maintain, create or expand waterbird feeding habitat, helping native fish by providing flows to support breeding and recruitment, including connectivity between rivers to support fish movement, providing flushing flows to contribute to end-of-system flows to maintain healthy salinity levels in the Coorong. During the 2024-25 water year, water for the environment was delivered to the lower Murrumbidgee River during cod nesting season and to assist golden perch breeding. Monitoring found numerous young-of-year golden perch in the floodplain habitat and the river as well, and as well as larvae of Murray cod and golden perch. Murray cod targeted sampling in the lower Murray between March and May 2025 detected a new cohort of Murray cod along with strong representation of subadult and mature adult fish. In the Northern Basin, at the internationally significant Darawa or Narran Lakes, the condition of lignum and other vegetation improved from 2020 to 22 following a combination of natural and environmental flows, with lignum, river red gums, river kuba flowering and seeding after almost a decade of extremely dry conditions. Darawa has remained in a relatively healthy condition since 2023. Rainfall, natural flows, and some Commonwealth unregulated water use in 2024 and the first half of 2025 has helped maintain water levels in the wetlands. These flows are designed to keep the wetlands wet as we move into spring, and then providing habitat for a range of other species. In the riverina, for the water for the environment was delivered to key habitats in the low Bidgie, including Tukapi IPA, Guyini, North Red Bank, Western Lakes to support creatures including the southern bellfrog. Monitoring of the area following the flows recorded the calls of southern bellfrog adults and large numbers of tadpoles at multiple sites in Western Lakes and North Red Bank, demonstrating the value of water for the environment. We follow a fairly simple but important process in planning, delivering and monitoring our water use. It is based on having robust planning for multiple water resource scenarios and the information, science and monitoring to inform decisions. Every year is different and the amount of water available changes from year to year. We therefore follow an annual cycle of management and make decisions annually on how best to use the water that is available. We partner with a range of stakeholders at every stage of our water management process. In the planning stage, to identify where and when water for the environment is needed. In the delivery of water to the rivers and wetlands of the basin, and in monitoring the outcomes and using this knowledge to inform future decisions. In planning and delivering our water, we work closely with First Nations peoples, landholders, a multitude of state government agencies, non-government organisations, irrigators, community groups, and of course scientists. What we do is informed by science, First Nations knowledges, local communities' experiences and real-time on-ground knowledge. By including our partners in every stage, it ensures our water use is backed by science and local knowledge. In the next year, we will continue to support native fish and wetland recovery and boost connectivity. Targeted water deliveries will support wetland plants and provide essential breeding and habitat for threatened species. As we are in Griffith today, I'll highlight some of our plans in the Murrumbidgee River Valley. Spring flows in the Yanko Creek system and lower Murrumbidgee River will connect low-lying wetlands. This will create opportunities for native fish passage, breeding, recruitment and dispersal. Summer base flows in the Yanko system will help maintain dissolved oxygen levels at levels that reduce the risk to aquatic species. We will be publishing our water management plans for this year shortly. The full plan will be available for viewing on our website. Every watering action is about maintaining resilience and maximising the outcomes we can get. I'd now like to share a few examples of our key collaborations that make our success possible. A core part of how we decide when and where to deliver water is science. As mentioned, our planning approach is based on adapting and adjusting. We analyse monitoring results so we know where we can improve our approaches. Science helps us make effective decisions on where, when, and how to act to support the health of rivers, wetlands, floodplains, and the species that rely on them. We combine a range of inputs like climate data, First Nations knowledge, local communities experience and real-time on-ground information through our long-term science and monitoring program known as FLOMER, or Flow Monitoring, Evaluation and Research. It is the basin's largest and longest running environmental water science program, now with more than 10 years of data and analysis to draw from.
FLOMO began as a bold vision, an ambitious idea to pair water delivery with rigorous science so that every drop of environmental water could do the most good. It really is the case that science sees what nature needs. Strong partnerships are at the heart of our approach to managing water for the environment. My staff and I engage extensively with basin community stakeholders, partners, and have built meaningful, genuine relationships over time. We travel throughout the basin to directly engage face-to-face where possible. A key to building these relationships have been our local engagement officers who live and work in the communities across the basin. In our science program, we have over 150 partners, including 9 principal partners involving 7 universities. Australia's National Science Agency, the CSIRO, and the One Basin CRC, which is an industry-led collaborative research initiative focused on building a more productive, resilient and sustainable Murray-Darling Basin, are all involved. The program's hallmark is strong regional engagement, working together with regional communities and First Nations representatives to include local knowledge. 10 years of fostering science partnerships has built a strong community of practice, underpinned by collaboration and trust. The program is comprehensive and employs more than 200 scientists across the basin. A notable feature has been that it's a rich training ground for the next generation of scientists, having supported 80 early career researchers over the past decade, with more to come. Our current phase of FLOMO, which started last year, has expanded the geographical range from 7 areas to 10. This means additional sites in the Northern Basin, an increased area footprint to provide greater flexibility and responsiveness to watering events. The program's scientists and researchers are out there on the ground over the next 5 years across the basin and will monitor the outcomes of Commonwealth's environmental water. They'll continue to capture and translate what's happening to the environment with the water we deliver and how best to keep using it. A strengthened feature of this phase of the program is embedding First Nations science and knowledges to ensure environmental watering is underpinned by the best available traditional knowledge and science. We've also established new structures for greater knowledge exchange between the organisations and across all stakeholders for even better science outcomes and information to inform adaptive management of our environmental water use. It's about turning FLOMO data into insight and insight into action. It also plays a critical role in helping us meet our reporting obligations under the Water Act and Basin Plan, and aligns directly with the basin-wide environmental water strategy. In short, FLOMO is how we connect science to strategy and environmental water to results. Some key insights from the past decade include population growth and recruitment rates increasing for native fish species, including the Murray cod. We've supported 130 waterbird and raptor species, including 59 threatened and migratory species. And we've supported a vast diversity of wetland-dependent plant species, including 77 culturally significant species and 101 rare species. Building on past Choose Science programs, we've dedicated funding for First Nations monitoring, evaluation, reporting activities across all projects, including in the Northern Basin. To briefly highlight FLOMO's interim First Nations strategy, our aim is for First Nations communities to determine and share how they want to be involved in FLOMO and to work together with FLOMO providers to understand, support and deliver community aspirations. Our approach to partnering with First Nations peoples is focused on 3 key areas: providing opportunities to empower and support First Nations people to care for country, building partnerships with First Nations people in ways that they determine, and building the confidence of Choose staff to engage with First Nations peoples and cultures. Diverse knowledge is critical for improving environmental water management. We highly value the knowledge and science of First Nations people. They've cared for their country for thousands of years, and their insights can be shared to support outcomes from environmental watering. In 2021, cultural advisors were engaged to provide Indigenous leadership in monitoring, evaluation and research in some areas of the FLOMO program. And now every project area has cultural advisors to build connections between the program and First Nations people. The role of the cultural advisor will be different for each area to support what is appropriate for country and communities. Cultural advisors provide Indigenous leadership and support area scale projects, engagement to understand how First Nations peoples would like to be involved in the program, and if they'd like to share their knowledge and science as part of the program. Our science program, FLOMERB, brings together ecologists, hydrologists, data science, First Nations cultural advisors, local landholders, community groups, and government agencies to deliver informed decision making. In early 2025, FLOMERB facilitated a successful joint monitoring effort for ponding, also known as the Murray Cod, in the Lower Murray. Ponding monitoring was identified by the Narrandjeri Aboriginal Corporation and the River Murray and Mallee Aboriginal Corporation as a priority for caring for country. Ponding has a vast cultural significance to First Nations peoples in the Lower Murray and the Coorong, Lower Lakes and Murray Mouth area, as it plays a part in the creation story of the Murray, of the river itself. The project has been unique in many ways. It has brought together two distinct First Nations groups and South Australian Research and Development Institute scientists. 6 First Nations rangers and 2 researchers completed electrofishing sampling at multiple sites in the Murray River across a week, followed by an electrofishing demonstration with around 50 community members and partners. The experience demonstrated with around 50 community members. The experience was significant for the participants. Many recall this being the first sighting of ponding in decades, or their first opportunity in life to witness the culturally important fish. Other species were also captured during the event, including pilaki and pilbara, or bony herring, which provided further opportunity for discussion and knowledge sharing. A yarning circle provided First Nations elders, rangers and other participants with an opportunity to discuss the demonstration event and the ponding monitoring. Elders shared observations of the changes observed in the Murray River in their lifetime, including a reduction in the number of ponding. Rangers recounted their week of electrofishing as being interesting and rewarding. This joint monitoring effort was supported, sharing both traditional knowledge and Western scientific understanding to inform the restoration of native fish and river health. We also collaborate with regional agencies. One example is our partnership with the Murray Lands and River Landscape Board. We've been working together since 2014-15 to deliver Commonwealth water for the environment to wetlands on the South Australian Murray floodplain. Our partnership enables continued planning, delivery and monitoring outcomes at sites where water is needed to maintain and improve native water-dependent plants and animals, including threatened species with involvement from a range of community groups. Importantly, our agreement recognises the vital role that wetland managers and landholders play in delivering environmental water across South Australia. Since watering began, we've seen strong partnerships between the CHU, the MRL board, local wetland managers, landholders, non-government organisations and the South Australian Department of Environment and Water. These collaborations have been key to achieving environmental goals. Our agreement builds on those partnerships and supports the planning and delivering work they're already doing. It also acknowledges that Commonwealth water for the environment is just one piece of the puzzle, alongside other sources of water like planned or other held environmental water, unregulated flows and water used for consumptive or system operations. Ultimately, our agreement is about better coordination and delivery of environmental water with the goal of improving the health of South Australia's wetlands and the broader Murray-Darling Basin. Outcomes targeted include supporting rare and threatened species such as the southern bellfrog, region parrot and Murray hardyhead. The board has had great success in providing water to support the southern bellfrog breeding and recruitment in recent years. We also engage with local communities and partners. As I previously said, we travel throughout the basin to directly engage face-to-face where possible. Our local engagement officers, or LEOs, live and work in the communities across the basin. Some key local engagement partnerships in the Murrumbidgee catchment, including working alongside Leeton Shire Council as part of the 5 Bow and Tuckable Ramsar Wetland Management Committee to manage and maintain the ecological character of these wetlands. We are long-time partners with the Yanco Creek Advisory Group, who are our eyes and ears on the ground advising us on policy monitoring and flows. We also work with delivery partners, Collyamble Irrigation and Murrumbidgee Irrigation. Our local engagement officers engage with the community as part of the Narrandera Koala Festival each year. On the slide, you can see some images of the Leo Michelle Grove at our booth at the festival, which was just last month. During the upcoming Murrumbidgee Great Southern Bioboots 2025, our Leos will be hosting evening frog and bird walks. The citizen science event will see communities all around the world recording biodiversity using the iNaturalist platform. You can find out more about the local engagement officers in your region on our website, and I'll also just acknowledge Anthony Wilson, who's one of our local engagement officers, is in attendance here today as well. In trying to get the best outcomes possible, we sometimes sell an annual allocation water and use the funds to invest in complementary measures that enhance the outcomes we get from environmental water in the long term. The volume of water allocation sold by the CHU has been and will remain a small fraction of the total water holdings and trades. Between July 2008 and May 2025, the CHU has delivered 18,400 gigalitres of Commonwealth surface water and sold about 0.3% of that amount. I'm subject to the same rules and regulations as other basin water entitlement holders when it comes to transfers and trade of annual water allocations to achieve the best outcomes and value from the Commonwealth portfolio of environmental water for the Australian community. The Water Act also places an additional obligation on me in that I can only sell water where it can result in improved environmental outcomes. There are a range of environmental activities that could potentially improve the capacity of Commonwealth water holdings to meet the objectives of the relevant environmental watering plans and enhance the environmental outcomes we achieve. We partner with organisations to support environmental projects that enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of environmental water delivery in the basin. One such example is the recent Lake Golgol Flume Gate project, a great example of partnerships taking action to enhance environmental outcomes. The Golgol wetlands are located in far west New South Wales near Mildura. To deliver additional flows during regulated conditions, compliant measuring is required to measure and take the water. Through consultation involving water experts, community members, water managers and irrigation engineers, a new flume gate was installed that allows water to flow into the wetlands even when the Murray is low. Since March, 1.25 billion litres of water for the environment has flowed into the wetlands. The water was an equal contribution from the Commonwealth and New South Wales Water for the Environment, aimed at helping nature recover. Conditions are better for water birds who are returning to make nests and for the growth of the floodplain vegetation. The success of the Lake Golgol project and amazing outcomes for the lake and surrounding area is the result of many partnerships developed with the local community and First Nations groups. This collaboration with the funding partner in New South Wales, TQ, the Golgol Community Reference and the Golgol Community Reference Group has resulted in a great example of the delivery of environmental activities. Since CHU's inception back in 2008, our partnerships have evolved from single site watering. Our watering and partnerships have evolved from single site actions to multiple catchment actions. The photo on this slide is our first watering action in March 2009 in South Australia, pumping water into a small wetland at Chewilla in South Australia. Since then, we've delivered more than 18,000 gigalitres of Commonwealth water for the environment to support 56 different freshwater ecosystems across the basin. Our work has shifted and scaled up to actions involving water from numerous catchments coordinated to generate connected flows that benefit vast areas of the basin, many freshwater ecosystems, native fish, aquatic vegetation, and many other species. An example of a watering action that would not have been possible 10 years ago are the large-scale southern spring flow events delivered across recent years. Through the Southern Connected Basin Environmental Watering Committee, these events sees water released in pulses from Hume Dam, Dam, reaching wetlands and floodplains along the River Murray from Yarrawonga all the way down to the Coorong. It connects over 2,000 kilometres of river, helping native fish to breed and move through the system, supporting colonial waterbird breeding and boosting river productivity by flushing food and nutrients from the floodplain back into the water. Careful planning and collaboration across state agencies in New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, as well as other Commonwealth agencies, has made the southern spring flows possible. It is a huge effort that relies on close partnerships with river operators and local managers, and it's a great example of what can be achieved when we work together. As we reflect on the partnerships and collaborations we've had for so far, it is vital we look ahead with the goal of continuing to optimise the results we can achieve from the Commonwealth's Water for the Environment. We will value every drop of water as we integrate the delivery, carryover and trade of our portfolio to maximise environmental outcomes at a landscape and whole of basin scale. We'll invest in complementary environmental activities that will enhance the results of our water delivery under a changing climate. We'll continue to harness science to capture and translate what's happening in the environment with the water we deliver and how best to keep using it. This includes embedding First Nations science and knowledges and establishing new structures for greater knowledge exchange. We'll grow our partnerships, working closely with First Nations, landholders, state government agencies, non-government organisations, irrigators, scientists and community groups. Persistence is key to how we use environmental water each year, how we monitor its impacts and how I continue to advocate for change that enables Commonwealth's Water for the Environment to have an even greater impact. We'll therefore continue to leverage our expertise, knowledge and unique basin scale role and perspective to support basin plan implementation and influence water policy settings and reform. I welcome the opportunity to partner with you as we progress our priorities to optimise the outcomes of water for the environment in the Murray-Darling Basin. Thanks very much for your time, and I'd be happy to take a couple of questions.
Thank you very much, Simon, for those great insights. There are some questions already coming in, so please, I'll give you the microphone. Thank you, sir. And if you prefer. Thanks, Simon. So we've already got some questions, which is very pleasing. And some of them have just disappeared. Where have they gone? Okay, one on the floor. Let's start with thank you.
G'day Simon, Jeremy Cass. I'm the Executive Officer with Riverina Winegrape Growers, but I'm not going to talk about our plight today. I just want to ask about the environment and how do you measure the success you're having with the environment? How do you also measure the negative impacts you're having on the environment? Because I can guarantee there is some. You don't have to look very far to see banks eroding into the river and trees falling in. And I know, just from my own personal experience, I've got a little place on Wangler, and right below the dam wall, in 2022 when it flooded, that was unbelievable to us and the locals there, because I went and saw my neighbour and we had a 40 mil rain event coming. The dam was nearly chock-a-block full. There was water running in all the creeks. And the first thing he said to me was a question I was going to ask him. How come they're not letting any water out? 2 weeks later, Forbes went under, and just outside, just in a 100-metre stretch of river below that thing, every tree on the far side of the bank was completely smashed to bits, and a conservative estimate of 20,000 cubic metres of soil was removed in erosion from that little space. So, you know, I'd be very interested I like the idea of community involvement, but there was none of that at that stage, and that was only 2 years ago. I'm not in our area anyway, so very interested to know what the feedback's going to be on all this sort of stuff and how you measure your successes and your failures.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So in terms of measuring the outcomes that we get from environmental water, we've got a science program that's been operating for well over 10 years. And so we're using the best scientists in the basin out there doing regular monitoring in the same locations to help us understand that, what we can achieve. And for example, in this area, we know, as a result of environmental watering and yes, other flows play a role. We know that the southern bellfrog has actually done quite well and returned to former areas prior to the drought it had really retracted to, so where it had come from. So look, we've got good evidence about what we can do. We know with waterbird breeding, for example, what we can, with scientist knowledge, we know the levels that we need to keep the water at to maintain water around the nest to enable them to complete the breeding. Why is that important? Because with river regulation, often the water drops a lot quicker than it would naturally. So we're able to use environmental water to slow that recession down. In terms of your broader question around impacts, I think we've got to be really cautious about assuming all impacts are associated with environmental water, because there's a lot of other water and water delivery within the system. And I know erosion, as an example, is often as a consequence of constant flows that are required to meet delivery orders in the system. The benefit of environmental water is we're not reliant on constant flow. We can vary flow, which actually reduces the risk of erosion. And we know that in the Goulburn. We know that the way we use water in the Goulburn River, we've been able to successfully get vegetation returning, like grasses and things like that, which provides stability. But it's also in that system well known that the IVT is a major issue because it's a constant delivery. The river's used as a pipe to get water from one end to the other. We don't use the rivers in that way. We use them, we generate variability in flows, which reduces risk of things like erosion. So I'd caution against assuming that it's environmental or Commonwealth environmental water or held environmental water that is necessarily causing those sorts of issues. It's not to say that we haven't had some issues and we're always interested in feedback where we can improve our approach. And then in terms of releasing water from dams and things like that, that is clearly a river operator matter. What we do is work with our partner agencies, place an order like an irrigator does, and then it's the river operators who deliver that water. They'll make the releases. They manage the river or the dams and storages during flood times. They're the ones that, with protocols and procedures in place, will be operating the structures according to, for safety and all sorts of other things. So again, I just caution against sort of assuming it was held environmental water that was a consequence of all that.
Thanks, Simon. We've got a few on slide open. We'll go to one on the floor first.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Robert Hoddle, Councillor, Gunnedah Shire Council. August, September, we had two very large flood events in Gunnedah on the Namoi. They were quite serious. The first one particularly did a lot of damage. The question to you is, with all that water, I imagine it's gone into many lakes. How do you account for it? And is that a possibility that could be counted as environmental water, thereby releasing some more water for agricultural use, which is desperately needed?
Well, look, that goes to broader sort of operation of the system that again goes to, I think as Jackie talked about earlier, the role of the MDDA along with basin states. There's a Murray-Darling Basin Agreement that puts in place the water flows that come down, enter Menindee, then that becomes shared resource between Victoria and New South Wales, or at times it will be what the MDDA are able to call on to meet orders further downstream. So the Menindee area is very complicated, but in effect, much of that water will inevitably be available to meet demands, not environmental, to meet irrigation demands further down the system to make sure the systems run as efficiently as possible.
Thanks, Simon. There's a question came in from Dr. David Post. Can you explain the chew's ability to pick? Sorry, wrong one. Sorry, beg your pardon. Jumped on me. Sorry, Simon, is the 17% of total water allocations just Churo water, or does it include state environmental water also?
Yeah, so the first thing there is it's the entitlements. So it's not about allocations, which is water that we get annually. It's the entitlements. So when you look at the like our website, the volume of entitlement that we own is just over 3,000 gigalitres. That equates to what they call a long-term diversion limit equivalent, which is what everyone talks about when they're talking about the basin plan delivering 3,200 gigalitres. It equates to just over 2,000 LTDLE. Getting very complicated. But the 17% is just Commonwealth entitlements, and the states also hold a small amount of held environmental water. That's New South Wales, Victoria in particular. And then, of course, there's planned environmental water. So within water sharing plans, particularly in New South Wales, there's rules that allow for, that have been around for some time actually, that environmental water allowance or something like that in different catchments, and it's different in different catchments, that is basically planned environmental water that when certain triggers are met, that water can be released or allowed to flow down the system. So we're additional to that.
Simon, can you explain the Chew's ability to piggyback water into Menindee Lakes and advise what volume of water has been transferred this way?
So the piggybacking, so when some of our licenses up on the Darling River, they're unregulated, like in an unregulated system. What happens there is New South Wales will adjust pump heights based on us activating our licenses. And that means that, and that's because we're not taking the water out of the system, we're leaving the water in the system. New South Wales will make those adjustments. It's all available on their IWAS or their digital Water New South Wales system. And that means the water is then protected down to Menindee Lakes. I don't recall the numbers exactly, but I think since about 2020, it's about 160 gigalitres of water that we're entitled to take if we were taking it off the system, that we left in the system that was then protected down to Menindee Lakes.
I think there's a question from the floor up the back.
Hi, Dr. Banks. I'm Dr. Madeline Hartley, New South Wales Irrigators Council CEO. It's nice to unofficially meet you. And I think we are in furious agreement that the environment needs a drink. I'm wondering, with your recent experience being pulled up for potential compliance with environmental water delivery, if you can talk us through the reflections you may have on a very well-resourced government agency struggling to navigate very complex New South Wales water laws, and any reflections you may have for industry having to navigate those similarly complex laws without such resourcing, but more importantly, what opportunities you see to reduce the complexity of those laws so that we can all follow them.
Yeah, look, thanks for your question. In terms of the recent issues, we weren't pulled up. It was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, there was a different interpretation of take under the New South Wales regulations. As a consequence of that, it led to a level of uncertainty in terms of us meeting our regulatory obligations in the management of water. And it was at that stage that I made the decision to pause the use of Commonwealth environmental water in New South Wales until we were able to do further analysis, get further advice from the New South Wales departments to understand and make sure that we are meeting our legal obligations. There is complexity in the regulations and the laws that we all face, you know, and that's something that we're navigating across 4 jurisdictions, 19 catchments, and I can tell you the rules are different in each catchment just about. So carryover rules are different, the underlying rules around the use of the water is different. We also, I suppose, need to recognise that environmental water is used differently. We have the same core characteristics because we've got general security licenses, for example. So we have those same core characteristics. We get the same allocation as an irrigator does. We have the same carryover rights as an irrigator does. None of that changes. But we need to recognise that our use of water is different. We leave a considerable amount of our water in the system to generate flows to support native fish and that kind of thing. So look, what I'm looking for is clarity, and I think congratulations to Minister Jackson for preparing a regulation that has provided greater clarity for us in how we need to manage our water. Some of it's just codifying what we've been doing for the last 10 years or 15 years, but it's really important that all water holders, irrigators, ourselves have clarity around our regulatory requirements. And for me, I've got no incentive to do anything other than make sure we're delivering and using our water according to the rules and regulations that are in place, and that's what we absolutely endeavour to do. There was a slight hiccup where there was a slight change in interpretation that created a lot of uncertainty, and I think it was quite a prudent sort of measured decision to go, well, we've got to pause until we understand that we're delivering and using the water legally.
Thanks, Simon. I think you've answered this. Any update on the ability to once again utilise environmental water releases in New South Wales? I think.
Yeah, so we did. I think it was on the 18th of August. I put out a statement saying we have commenced delivery, and that's in areas that we know that we've got legal confidence in our use of Commonwealth environmental water. There's still a couple of areas that the pause remains in place, and we're just actively working with our delivery partners and the state government to understand what that means, and when we should be able to get watering going on. And I just say, like, our mission is to generate, to provide for healthy rivers, and which I like to think is about everyone's community. It's our community, it's your communities. It's just that's our objective here.
Almost out of time, a couple of last questions, if I may. What sort of knowledge is gained from Indigenous understandings, and how does that support basin water treatment?
Well, I think it's just understanding the cultural connections to water and the different values. We all place a value on water in our context, and I think understanding that, and that's work that we've got to do. We've got to understand more about the values and the stories associated with it, and then we will have a better understanding of the role that Indigenous knowledge can play in supporting environmental water management.
Simon, we've had almost 13 years of dedicated watering under the Basin Plan. From your perspective, what has been the most surprising ecological response?
Wow, that's a great question. Look, I think there's so many. I just think we're so, with our science program, we're in such a good position to understand what can be achieved. We know what we can do for native fish, how we can, build condition, generate movement, all those kinds of things. We know that vegetation where we've watered, places we've watered using environmental water are in a healthier condition compared to those that haven't. And that's with floods and all that kind of thing happening. I just think there's so many different aspects to it. To pick one's really, I'd have to think about that, Mark, for a little while. But I just think it's that certainly I can reflect back and go, our knowledge and understanding of what we can achieve has grown astronomically, and I do think, like in this region, like the recovery of the bellfrog, the southern bellfrog, is fantastic from how it had retracted in the drought at the end of the drought to where it is today, and that's a combination of Commonwealth and state held environmental water, and the floods, the natural flows that have passed through the system. It's not all about held environmental water; it's combinations.
Some final questions, Louis.
Thanks for taking my question. My name's Louis Zafina, I'm Mayor of Balranald. So I'm for environmental flows. I'm actually a table grape grower in Euston. My farm is actually on a floodplain, and the only reason it doesn't flood anymore is because the highway is a levee bank. So I know that soil really well. Before I ask my question, I just want to touch on environmental flows. I remember environmental flows were the unused water of your allocation, which was a water right, belonged to that parcel of land. So climate didn't affect that, it was the unbundling of water. So I just want to set that straight because we're talking about educating the people on what happened, and that's what happened. Policy did that. They made a commodity out of water, but nevertheless, it's not going back to that. So we've got to move forward. My question is, I've seen irrigation on floodplains, environmental flows, especially the Gold Forest. I've seen a decline in the forest. You can overwater floodplains. They are calcareous soils, they're alkaline soils, and you deprive them of oxygen, the trees die. Do you acknowledge that you may have got that one wrong?
Look, I don't have the details specifically on the Gold around whether it was, which water's been used in there, but we know, we endeavour to try and meet the environmental water requirements of the different systems, and we're certainly mindful of overwatering, underwatering. Like, it's a real balance, and that's why we've got a science program, is to help us untangle the complexities of the natural system that we're operating within. So, look, I don't know. I'm happy to follow up and get more information on it. I'm quite comfortable where we haven't got it right. Yeah, we've got more work to do in places to understand, differences, and obviously, again, working within a natural system is really complex. Like, conditions change quickly. We might have been, we've expected certain conditions to, where it might be drying. So we'll endeavour to put water into a system, and then a flow might come through naturally. And that means that the system might be wetter for longer, than originally planned. And that's just some of it. We're operating in a highly regulated, highly modified system. And there's some of the challenges that we face. But again, I just for us we'll continually seek to improve our approaches to make sure we're getting the best from the water that we've got. And we'll do that with our delivery partners and others as well.
Simon, a couple of quick fire to finish on. Will cultural water be accounted as e-water?
No, and Matt's probably best placed to talk about that, but the Aboriginal Environmental Water Program, that is for that program. It's not environmental water. It may be used for environmental outcomes or cultural outcomes, whatever the First Nations people that are managing it determine. But it's separate to the Commonwealth Environmental Water holdings that I'm responsible for managing.
Thank you. And finally, who audits the Chew accounts and how often?
Water accounts. We've been reviewed, I think, about 11 or 12 or 13 times in the 17 years that we've been around. We've got the Inspector General of Water Compliance has an oversight role for our function. We've got the Australian Audit Office can also come in. There's plenty of and we have been reviewed. Troy mentioned the Steady as it flows last year. That was part of that was about our operations, and look, we take all those reviews seriously. So our accounts are, we're told how much water we've used, so we're no different to an irrigator in terms of Water New South Wales or the Victorian Register, wherever it is. That's, we don't have any role in that. We're just send a bill and then told how much water we've used and pay that bill. But there's look, I think we're well and truly audited. Transparency is an important part of our operation. I'm a real advocate for that, to make sure we are, as open about how much water we've got, where we're managing it, where things have gone wrong, what we're doing right. I think that's our responsibility.
Simon, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you so much. It's been fascinating. It's now afternoon tea. It's served at the back. Please mingle, mix, go and see the exhibitors. And for those who are attending the AGM, see you back here at 3:40. The NIC team will be going to the other room.
See how this screen is on the home screen. I'll see what Tim.
So you got to go
But I don't know if he's
left click down here.
the stream's still going.
Does he want it off?
Yeah. So end it for him.
Yeah, just end it.
I don't know, I'll leave it for now. Yeah, in case he said he wants it off for the but I don't know if they want it for this video. I don't know. So I will duplicate it anyway. Okay, I'll see where he is.
How do you do the duplicate up here? How do
you going?
How do you do the screen thing? Is it up here? Is it?
Yeah, but he's gonna fucking read it in there. Surely he wants it ended.
Yeah.
He's only